Hey, what's up everybody? In today's video we're going to be going over the 2021 Panini Baseball set for NFTs. Now this is the third sport that they're bringing to the NFT packs. First was the NBA, then it was the UFC, and now they're bringing baseball. And so I'm going to be going over, their checklist, the mint counts, the various sets. We're going to be covering, my own opinion on is this worth it and if you should get into it. And I also created a full checklist for those of you who are going to be collecting these baseball cards that you can download. The link will be in the YouTube description, and I'm going to go over that checklist as well. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so from the Panini page, if you go under blockchain, you're going to see that these base Prizm packs for baseball are now live. They do have a countdown to Monday morning to when you can purchase them for $10. In that, you're going to get 3 base card packs. Now, under the description, it says that they're going to have base and parallels, color blast, and Donruss whammy. So the whammy and the color blast are inserts, and then the base and various different parallels. I'll go over the parallels on the checklist. So there's a 250 card base set that is split into 3 different tiers. So the 3-tier system was what was used with the UFC. The NBA only had the 1 tier for the base cards. So the way this works is the base cards have 3 different tiers, and they all have different mint counts depending on which tier you're in. One tier has 100 players, another tier has another 100, and then the final rare tier has 50. Once again, we'll go over the mint counts when I go over the checklist. So when you buy these packs, you're getting 3 of the base cards, and it can come from any one of the tiers. You're not guaranteed. It can come from the lowest tier, or you can get a mixture of them. It's really just a lottery to see what kind of serial number you get or which tier you get. Okay, so this is the baseball checklist that I created, and by the way, I do have ones for the NBA and the UFC as well. And so it's a similar format. On the first page, I have some general information to help you to know, so if you're not familiar with the various baseball players, to just know who might be a good hit based on several awards or top player lists. So the first thing I have is the 2020 awards, and so you can go through and see, who is the Rookie of the Year, who's the MVP, etc. Then I have the 2020 Gold Glove and Silver Slugger awards there for each position. And then finally, we have 2 lists here from ESPN, their top 25 players, and then the MLB.com 25 players. And this is both not like an overall best players in MLB history, but just for the 2021 season. And so what I think will be helpful is just to compare the 2 together. So obviously, Mike Trout and Mookie Betts are number 1 and 2 in both lists, so they'd be safe bets. But then you should also go through and just kind of see who has repeats. We see number 8 here and a number 6 here. Just to cross-reference, because if they appear in both lists, and especially if they've won several awards, that they are definitely one of the top players to target. Okay, heading over to the base set. So on the left, you have the base cards, and they are in alphabetical order. And then this column here is just so you can place your purchases. You can fill in the date. This is August the 20th. And then you say the player, which is Mike Trout. Let's say you buy that. You buy serial number 40, and you paid $25 for it. So you can keep track of the various cards that you bought on the secondary market. That's the purpose for it. And then personally, I just go down to where the person is, and I put in the serial number that I bought, 40 in this case, and then I like to visually highlight it. I use accent 5 for all mine, and therefore, if I want to build, this is especially helpful if you want to build the whole set, so that way you can see where there are some gaps. It's just better if you visually color it so that you can see which ones are missing. So hopefully that helps you. And then you can if you get multiples, you can just add a comma and just add the extra serials like that. That's the goal of how this would work. I've added 3 different features to the base set list to kind of help you distinguish. Once again, the first page gives you some good helpful information, but these are included actually on the base set list. So what I did was I did a blue underline for all the number 1 draft picks. So you can see here Carlos Correa, Garrett Cole, And so I have the year that they were drafted, and they are blue underline. Then we have the MVP players, and those have a bolded MVP next to them. You can see that here with Justin Verlander and Alex Rodriguez. So they have an MVP there, and then in brackets I put the league and the year that they got the MVP. You should especially pay close attention to people who have multiple MVPs, like Rodriguez, Pujols, Mike Trout. That would be helpful information as well. And then I've highlighted in bronze the various retired players. I believe I've got them all, but there's always a chance I missed some. So what I did was I bronzed the number next to them. So now going over the base card set, once again there's 250 players broken into 300 tiers. So the first tier, which is the lowest, is cards that are minted to 999. This is a perfect mirror of the concourse in the UFC, which also had 999. Now, if you're gonna see here, let's just pick somebody here, like Ken Griffey Jr., for example. So we know he was a #1 draft pick, we know he's retired, and we know he has an MVP. But because he's under the 999, what you should also know is he will not be in the other tiers. So he has one card. So with the UFC, you had the same players that had one card in each of the 3 tiers. Not so with baseball. Whatever tier you're in is where you have your card. So, there's only going to be 999 Ken Griffey Jr. cards, in the base set at least. So then the next set after that is limited to 449. Now this is rarer than the UFC, which their mid-tier, the premier, had 599. So we have even more rare. So Alex Rodriguez only has 449 cards. You have some of the best ones in here that are highly desirable. You have Mike Trout, you have Ohtani, you have Rodriguez. So some of the best ones are going to be in this tier here in 449. And finally, the most rare tier is out of 99. Extremely rare. It's crazy that that's a base card because of how low it is. The lowest mint count on the UFC, their rarest was the Octagon side, and that had 199. So this is half of that. Now to just give you a perspective, the silver parallels with the NBA, which sold for $49, where you just got one of the silver parallels and 2 base cards, that was down to 149. So this is even lower at 99. So this is a very rare hit and will be definitely desirable, especially for those standout players. You got Chipper Jones here is a retired player. Luis Robert, that's a good prospect. So Mookie Betts, that'll be a really desirable card here. And the thing is, there's only 99 of each one in this tier, only 50 players. It'll be really rare, very sought after. Okay, moving on to the parallels. We have the silver parallels, the green ice parallels, and the gold parallels. There's also going to be the gold vinyls, which are 1-of-1s as well. Now, the silver parallels are limited to 199, and this is going to be the whole 250 base set list. So, the base set is in 3 tiers, but all the parallels are not. All the parallels have the 1 tier, and they all have the same mint count. So for the silvers, it is 199, which is 50 above what the silver NBA ones were. The next parallel are the green ice, and those are limited to 49. And then we have the golds, which is the same as what it was for the NBA and will be for the UFC, which are cards out of 10. Now on this tab here, I have purchases for your gold as well as for your gold vinyl if you decide to go buy any of those. Of course, very pricey, or you can put down, instead of the purchase price, you can put down the pack price that you bought it at as well. Next, we're going to go on to the 2 inserts. These are the only 2 insert sets that are currently announced. I'm sure they're going to have more, and I will update the spreadsheet checklist whenever those are announced and I have those checklists. But for now, these are the two. Now, I'm going to let you know that there is a spoiler on the next page. I was able to compare the blockchain checklist with the print checklist, and so I know what the rewards are going to be, the challenge rewards. So if you don't want those spoiled, this might be the point where you want to end the video and just download the checklist for yourself. But moving on, here we go. So the insert sets are going to mirror the mint counts of the UFC, which are at 250. The NBA had inserts at 500, and these are all at 250. So both of them are going to have 10 players, 9 that you're able to get in packs, and then 1 that's a reward. Now for the whammy set, I'm actually unsure if it's going to be Babe Ruth or George Brett who are the challenge reward. And that's because there's a discrepancy between the blockchain list and the print list, to where Jared Kelenic was not in the print list, but he is in the blockchain list. Now, that could be an actual error on the blockchain list, and maybe there is no Jared Kelenic card, and therefore we're going to get both George Brett and Babe Ruth. But if not, we're going to miss one of Babe Ruth or George Brett on the blockchain. And I'm not sure which one it will be. One of them will be the challenge reward, one of them will be get left off, if in fact we do get Jared Kelenic. Now, I lean towards Babe Ruth being the challenge reward. I think, for this set, they always try to go for, the superstars, the most sought after people as challenge rewards. So I think Babe Ruth would be the way to start this set as a challenge reward, but I can't make that as the promise. Moving on to the Color Blast, we have another 10-player list with Mike Trout being the challenge rewards. This one's going to be very sought after. Mike Trout is the undisputed, best player in baseball, is on all the #1 lists like LeBron James or Conor McGregor in MMA. And so it will be a highly desirable challenge reward to have, especially because it's going to be lower than the 250 mint count of all the ones that you get in packs, which is extremely rare. So that's the checklist, and hopefully you find that helpful. But now I want to talk about, should you be investing in these? There's some information that you need to know if you decide you want to collect these Panini baseball cards. So the very first thing you should know is that Topps currently has the exclusive license for producing MLB baseball cards. And so what that means is that only Topps can use the MLB logo and the team logo. So Panini is an unlicensed product. They have an agreement with the Players Association, so therefore they're able to make cards of players, but they can't make the team cards or use that MLB logo. Now, I'm not in on print baseball cards, but I did ask my friend Ziggy, and he did say that the Panini baseball cards do sell at a steep discount to the Topps the Topps cards, because of the fact that they are unlicensed. So we're in uncharted territory to see, what that will be like for the NFTs. It does not seem like Panini is giving us much of a price discount for them being unlicensed. The base cards are the same exact as they were for the NBA or the UFC, and that you're getting 3 base cards for $10. So will they continue to have, $15 insert cards and, $49 green ice and $149 gold cards? So it'll be interesting to see if they continue to maintain the same pricing and not passing the discount for it being unlicensed onto the consumer. So it's hard to know if the demand will go down because of that. Now, Topps was already ahead of the game on Panini. Panini was the first to have licensed NBA cards. Top Shot did come first with licensed NBA NFTs, but they were video clips called Moments. But Panini did have the first NBA cards, and they also had the first licensed UFC cards or anything licensed with NFTs. But they are behind on the baseball in the fact that they are unlicensed, and Topps released Series 1 NFTs already on the Wax blockchain. Now, I got in on the Topps blockchain release and I was very excited about it. I got the initial pack drops. I believe that was April of this year when they had the pack drops, and I was able to get 10 of the premium pack drops, and then I bought substantially in the marketplace. But unfortunately, Topps really dropped the ball in their support and promotion of the product. They had 5 weeks of burning, which allowed people to burn base cards to craft these special Rideau packs. But after those 5 weeks were up, Topps did absolutely nothing. There was no challenges. There was no community support. It was just the community kind of spurring one another on, while there was complete radio silence from Topps. They never announced any additional pack drops. There was nothing. And so it was really a failure on Topps to launch. And so Panini has the opportunity here to come and pick up the drop ball that Topps dropped, but they still have to wrestle with the fact that it is unlicensed, and it looks like they're not trying to sell things at a discount. Now, Panini's response might be, yes, but we lowered the mint counts. And it is true. I mean, if you pull a Mookie Betts base card, it's going to be out of 99, which is really rare. So, I mean, I do understand that. But the fact is that I wonder if it might have been better to actually decrease the cost of the packs for it being unlicensed. And so I wonder if the demand is going to be there comparatively to the UFC and the NBA, because those two are actually licensed. Now, even if these baseball cards were licensed, in all honesty, I probably would not recommend going for the base cards. The base cards have been an abysmal failure for the NBA. And by the way, I'm judging failure not by sellouts, but by the fact that how often the cards, any 3 cards you get are selling above or below that $10 value. And most of the cards, are going to be, 3 or 4 serial digits for the NBA. And, for most players, they were just selling for $1 or $2. And so you weren't even breaking even on your packs unless you got a spectacular pull. Now with the UFC, they were more rare, and I think they were a little bit better. But more often than not, you were still able to pick up 3 good cards for less than the $10 pack cost. And so, man, I mean, we're going to repeat ourselves here. We already have 2 cases where it was better to just go buy cards on the secondary market unless you love to gamble. And now we're having the unlicensed aspect added to it. So it's going to be really hard for me to recommend going and buying these base card packs. I mean, if you are all in and you want to build out the whole set and you love taking gambles, sure, go for it. But if you're just wanting to pick particular players to buy, you want to dip your toes in, you're just looking for a quick flip, I don't think these base card packs are going to be the way to go at $10. And so I'm not saying don't invest in these. I'm just saying it's probably better to let other people take the risk of opening the packs, and then you just go buy the cards and the serial numbers that you want on the secondary market after. Now, for the inserts, that's a different story. The inserts have been widely successful no matter with the UFC and with the NBA, and generally have been money makers. And so I do think that it will be good and wise to get in on all of the, the whammy and the color blast pack drops for the MLB when that happens, assuming that they're $15, which I mean, I'm sure that they will be, as that's what they've been doing. So for me personally, I'm skipping out on the base cards. I will be going for the insert packs when they drop. And I'm more than likely going to skip out on all the parallels, but it's hard to make that call now until before we know the pricing. But if it has the same pricing as the UFC and the NBA, and they're not going to pass on a discount to the consumer, then I will be skipping out on those as well. So that's my thoughts. I would love to hear from you guys, and especially those of you who are baseball fans. Were you in on the Topps drop, and are you planning to do the Panini? Or, maybe you didn't do Topps, but what are your thoughts on Panini? Are you still, is the unlicensed aspect too much of a turnoff, or are you all about the players and you don't really care if it's Mike Trout's Mike Trout, and you're going to go for those regardless? Would love to hear from you guys, and I'd also love to know who's not a baseball fan. Maybe you don't even know who the players are. And what are you planning to do? Are you going to get in on these pack drops, or are you skipping out? So make sure you leave a comment. I'd love to interact with you in that section. Okay, guys, until next time, peace out.